What's up, everyone? Adam Prime is back. Did anyone even notice I was gone? No? What can you do? So, after the events of things, with the summer in the close, we are in new Kamen Rider season. By that I mean, Saber is over, and we are now on to the newest Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Revice. That is not the name of the character in the show. But before we get on that, this is for Kamen Rider's 50th anniversary, and the logo looks pretty cool. And overall, this whole video is pretty much just going to be my first impressions, really, and my overall thoughts on it. I have watched the episode a couple times, but we only have the one episode, so that is what I'm going to be working off of. And overall, this is a solid episode. This was an enjoyable time. This was a solid opening, and if you haven't watched it yet, I'd give it a watch before I get into, the rest of it. Before I get into the spoilers. And it pretty much has all the regular tropes, something bad happens, and we get a Kamen Rider at the end. But to start with, I want to talk about our main rider, Revice? Revi? I'm going to go with Revi, at least how they've been saying it on the show. Or Iki. I don't remember his last name. And I don't mind him. He's a solid character so far, not a lot to say. And he was interesting. Also, first time for anything, or at least in the eras I've seen, in modern times, he has his whole family. No mom missing or dead. Nope, dad's there. Everyone's there. The whole family's there. Also, he just dresses like a dude. He's not, dressed exactly normal, but it's he works at a bathhouse, which, I'm wondering how that's gonna play. And, overall, nothing out of the normal. I think it's interesting that, that the Revice system itself had its own candidate, and it was his brother who worked for Phoenix, which is this squad of people who fight a mariachi band. Okay, they're not a mariachi band, but that dude has a sweet sombrero. But yeah, no, you have his brother works for Phoenix, which made the Revice system. And overall, to get into Iki's family exactly, also I may be pronouncing his name terribly wrong. Also, if you haven't noticed, I will probably be going into spoilers, so spoiler alert. And you really didn't get to know a lot about his family, it's just they have his dad doing weird video stuff, okay. His brother works for the Thing, alright. And then his sister's a karate champ, I guess. And mom is the reason he does the bathhouse. But then, they also gave information about Iki, which he was a soccer pro, so, I don't know. And overall, I do like that we got to at least... It didn't feel overpacked with characters, because even though it's a first episode and we get introduced to a lot, it wasn't overly stuffed. I didn't feel I'm like, man, I just kept learning character after character. And it's I feel like they brought them in organically, and it was pretty nice. And like I said, it's nice to see everyone's there, unless they're going to have a mysterious other brother that will appear out of nowhere, probably, I don't know. And, yeah, I didn't mind them, that was neat. Alright, let's get to Vice, and he's okay. He's a little, he feels like he's just there, and he's played well. I don't know what really to say about Vice. He was there. He's cool. Yes. And he had that fourth wall breaking thing, and he just kind of. It's interesting that he was almost like a child. It's overall. I guess we'll see where Vice goes. He's kind of he can teeter totter where it's I don't know if I'm gonna like this character or not. And it was weird that he tried to eat Iki's mom twice. So don't know what that deal is. It was neat to see that transformation sequence at his brother's I guess he was ranking up to commander, and then the mariachi band shows back up and tries to destroy everybody. Also, I found it hilarious that you got to see his little brother be a little embarrassed of him and the rest of his family because Iki was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna invite everybody. I even made a flag." It's just oh god, what? It's just what was his brother's name? Daiji or something like that. He was just "Oh, did you actually make a flag?" And he's just pulls it out, and it's hilarious. I found that really funny. And then even while he was there, he was actually waving it. You thought they'd use it for a bit, but no, he's actually just full on with the flag. And that's just kind of where we get into it. Into the first transformation sequence is the mariachi band comes in and they're and then you're just "Oh no, not the mariachi." And they summon all the grunts, which the grunts look rad. This is a good year for these grunts. And the main commander guy, I don't know, he's there with the scientist, which I really like the scientist. He seems interesting. He's that overly excited, he wants somebody to use his belt. He's somebody use my belt. Come on, please, use it, come on. I want to see it work. And he obviously knew the references. He knows all the Kamen Rider stuff. You saw him do the Ichigo pose, and that was pretty cool. But we didn't get his name at all. I know probably in the Saber episode we saw his name because I think he was in it, but in this episode they didn't say it at all, so I can't, and I don't remember it. So either way, cool scientist dude whose dad made the belt system. But yeah, no, it's the commander dude just is "Hey, I'm gonna use the stamp," and the scientist dude was "No, don't use the stamp. You can't use that." And he's just "I'm doing it anyway." And then another demon pops out. So it's "Oh, good." The problem gets worse. Which, that whole first fight scene was really cool. You obviously had all the people fighting off and being "Oh, you gotta run and get out of here." But Iki's sister was just punching monsters in the grunts, and I'm whoa, she's doing something. And that was cool. And it's after you see all of that, it's cool to see that it's not he turns into a commoner and that's how he fights them. It's no, we're starting to fight them on their own. So that was nice to see that it's well, at least they have some capability. But after that, they throw Daiji the belt, and he's I don't know, what happens if the demon, what happens if I get a furry pants demon? And he's just use the belt. And then, he doesn't use the belt. Then Iki gets the belt because he just got to it, and Vice convinced him to use the stamp to make a contract with him, and that's how the monsters are made, by the way, is you stamp yourself and it makes a contract with your inner demon, which that's an interesting part where it's not just demons, it's your inner demon, so that's neat. And he immediately starts busting up the monsters also, and then goes, like I said earlier, trying to eat his mom, and the scientist dude was "Oh, use the belt, it can control him," and then as soon as he puts on the belt, he gets just sucked back in. He's just it's I'm huh? How does that work? I'm not quite sure. But we get the first transformation, and I really do like these suits. Revi and Vice look really cool. I love the teeth on the mouth plate area. That's awesome. And after that, we get a pretty sweet fight scene. We see him like throw them all out, throw down, and everything, and you literally see Revice just kick somebody through a wall, and that was rad. And then you obviously see him get the axe, but like at one point he gets like CGI T-Rex thunder thighs, and it's hilarious. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see that effect again, but it was hilarious. So, yeah. And, like, obviously he gets the weapon, bing, bada, boom. You know, then all of a sudden at the end of the episode, he untransforms, they save the day, and he gives the scientist guy back the belt, and the scientist guy's like, what? Like, he legitimately said, what? Like, you know, it's like, I'm like, okay. And he's like, I don't want to be a Kamen Rider, and it's like, well, you're the main character, so you're going to have to take that belt at some point. But yeah, overall, a solid episode. A lot of stuff happened. It was really fun to see. Like, I couldn't ask any more for an opener. It was solid, and I would suggest you watch it. And stuff I didn't get into, it's like, the main villain, like, Gillis or something, Gilf, I don't know, and is like this cocoon thing that like Indiana Jones found. I don't know, like they set up that the monsters have been existing for 50 years, like because they found it in 1971. I don't know, it's like you really didn't get to see a lot of the villains outside of them. Like one of them is the fiance of the main guy, but it's like he's a cocoon. But yeah, that's kind of them. And you know, they were good. They were solid. They were villains. You know, they're a terrorist group. Deadmans are like a known terrorist group, and that's why Phoenix, or as my fiance said, FedEx. I was like, oh, it does sound like FedEx. Are fighting against. So you know, what you gonna do? But it's a solid episode, and maybe I'll do more episodes as they come out. I'm not quite sure. But I am going to be starting and have a deeper conversation on a podcast that I will also be putting up at some point. So look forward to that. And if you want to see me go in depth on this episode with another person, which, again, go over there when it's up. But overall, I can't wait to see more of this show. And I guess until my next video, bye.